Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Ha.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. I'm good. A little brisk this morning. I'm standing and it's cold because the heater's at my feet and I'm tall, but that's a cross I'll have to bear for the next 5 months.
Correct.
Yeah.
But thanks for sharing. That was good. People can now get to know a little bit more about your background and where you're at and why you're standing and
or my foreground, as it were.
Correct. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Brush, and this is Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote, where we try to come up with the one thing that can help you move forward throughout the day. And maybe it's applicable today, or maybe it's something that you'll be able to use in the future, but it helps add to what is real in your life. It enhances hopefully your knowledge, your experience, and your perspective. So today, our topic is empowering others. Actually, this week, it's empowering others. And yesterday, we talked a little bit about what it is. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about why it matters. And I think this is a great topic because it's a broad topic that is not just for, a lot of times what we talk about, people might think is just for the business owner, for the entrepreneur, for someone who's leading a company, owning a company. This is one that is great for people who are just leading themselves, leading a team, just a leader in general. So why don't you share a little bit about your thoughts about that, Bob?
Well, it's funny, Tom, as the introduction was playing, I was thinking about this and I realized that the majority, I'm going to say probably 80%, I think I'm close on that number, of the business I've gotten in my 2 businesses over the last 10 years has come from other people. Either them connecting me to someone like you have several times, or them saying to someone else, you got to use Bob. He's really good at these things. You should talk to Bob. So empowering other people to do that, whether even if you're a nonprofit, hey, I went to this event. It was really a great event. You should look at this event. It might be great for you to sponsor. It might be a great opportunity for you to connect with the kind of people you're looking for, all those things. The majority of what I accomplish comes from working with other people. I'm not a one-man band. Yes, I do get clients from time to time where it's just me going out and trying to reach them, but certainly on my speaking business, it's about 90% referrals. If it's not referrals, it's often the testimonials. I was filling out a form yesterday for a speaking opportunity, and they said, give us 3 references and 3 testimonials. I had them, and I got a call within an hour. They knew the people. So we don't do this alone. So empowering other people, you can either say, I'm a one-man band, I'm going to lead this organization, I'm going to run this company, I'm going to do whatever all by myself, and it's all going to be Bob. Or I can say, I stand on the shoulders of all those great people like you that will help me achieve my goals. And when other people help us achieve our goals, of course, they have a different perspective, they have a different experience, different knowledge, and they can bring that to bear on what I do, but also on how they explain what I do.
Yeah, that makes that. And I love the part that you started with nonprofits, not just because that's what I work with a lot. And,
once a year.
Well, nonprofits are really good, and they're reliant on their board and their volunteers, because typically they don't have all the resources they need, just like a lot of small businesses don't have all the resources they need. Leaders, they don't have all the resources they need or would want to have. And so we're really reliant on how do we empower others to go out and share our messages. And one of the biggest challenges I find with nonprofits is that they don't always empower their boards or their volunteers. They're not always clear on what is our mission. What are we trying to accomplish? And so what they're sharing isn't always as effective as it could be. Similarly, for small business owners or for leaders, what is the messages we're sharing with our team to the world or to our employees? and how are they receiving that? Because if they are not receiving it correctly, they're not going to be able to accomplish the tasks they need to do or promote your business the way it needs to be promoted so that you will attract people. I had a conversation online on Facebook last night where someone had posted in a group, they were trying to get some feedback on their social media posts, their website, because they felt like they weren't getting enough traction, enough people who were engaging with it. And so when I went to look, I was watching a game, and so I went and took a look. And what I realized was they weren't empowering the viewer to understand who they help. Because one of the biggest challenges is that, yeah, we can talk all day about what we do. Talking about how is our client benefit? How does our team, what are they looking for that we can then try to say, oh, this is exactly who it is. It reminds me of going to some networking events where people just stand up and say, I do this, this, and this, and I can serve anyone. You have not empowered me to be a referral partner. Right. And as you said, so much business comes from referral. And the people who are out there talking about us or are sharing the results they've received, that we're missing opportunities if we are not finding ways to truly put the right words in people's head to empower them to go out and support what we're trying to do.
I have a theory, Tom. I don't know if I've shared it with you, but we tend to put people in buckets. You know, people see me, I'm 6'6", and they go, hey, wow, he's the tall guy. And maybe it's the tall guy with glasses. And then a lot of it's just visual. You know, they see us a certain way and they, you know, oh, he always wears bow ties. Oh, I heard someone the other day, oh, I miss seeing her because she always wears the nicest shoes. We put people in buckets that way. And if we don't help people figure out what bucket we go into in their life, in their mind, they will do it themselves. So I'm either going to be Bob the tall guy, because if you see me, that's how I look, or I'm going to be Bob the guy that helps people do X, Y, and Z, or he works with this or this. So Tom to me is the nonprofit guy. If someone says nonprofit, I'm immediately like, what? Tell me more. I got a friend who's, oh, this guy's awesome. He does great things with nonprofits. You got to talk to him. I know you guys are going to hit it off. He is so passionate about nonprofits. You're in that bucket all alone. That's a unique bucket. Now, I have other people that work at nonprofits, but they don't do what you do. Now, if someone said, hey, I'm interested in cancer research, I'd be like, oh, you got to talk to Chrissy. I know she works with the American Cancer Society. You got to talk to her. If someone talks about mobile auto mechanics, I'm going to refer them to John. If it's SEO, I've already referred a couple of people to Tim. Vanessa, there was something about someone needing help with their finances. So I've put all these people into buckets, and we have a choice. Either we help people get in a bucket, we help people put us in a bucket, or they do it alone. And what I've found is when someone else puts me in their own bucket, it's not as good a bucket as if I help them craft that bucket. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was going to say my bucket, I try to think of my bucket a little differently because my mind works. I don't always feel I know exactly what they do. Like this person the other day on Facebook was a software consultant. And I'm like, I don't really know who, like, do you help individuals at home? Do you help small business? Is it large business? Is it behind the scenes? Is it the people out front? Like, I don't know who to tell that you should talk to this person because I don't know the words they use. And I would go back, and we've told this story 100 times, but I'm going to tell it one more time, is that when I first met you, you told me the message you shared was that you help people get a bigger piece of the pie. So that to me was like, I don't really know what he does. I mean, I do, but I don't. I know when this person says this, I know you've got to go talk to Bob. And it so happens, as we've shared, that I went to a networking event later that day and somebody said, yeah, I'm just trying to get a bigger piece of the pie that's out there. And I was like, I know exactly who you need to talk to. So it was very clear. So like when you make it really clear about the type of company, individual, person you're looking for, or what is their real problem. So my buckets are like, all right, I know somebody who's looking for somebody who's trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. I know somebody who's struggling with their QuickBooks, and all right, now I know who to put them with. So I like to think about it in terms of the words that people use to describe what they're feeling. So now I know exactly, like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who you need to talk to. This is how they can help. I had somebody who said, yeah, we're a small organization and I just keep having to deal with HR and I can't stand it and drives me nuts. And I was like, I don't know that this is the perfect fit, but I know that my friend Kim talks about helping people in that situation. I think you ought to have a conversation with her. So that's how I feel like I become empowered, is when people are really crystal clear on what are people saying, what is the pain that they're feeling that you can help them alleviate. And I always feel like if I can help somebody that I know alleviate something that is a challenge, that makes a big difference. Like, you'll be proud of me, Bob. I think you'll be proud of me. So last night I made a big decision. I decided
to turn off the Hallmark Channel.
No, that's another big decision. To hire a bookkeeper.
Whoa!
To be like, you know what? That's one thing that I know takes up time and effort, and sometimes it's frustrating for me. And I was like, finally, like, you know what? I need to do this because that's going to help me get more in order. It's going to allow me to focus on other things and be better prepared when it comes around for tax time. And I feel like my pain was strong enough and I knew somebody who could help me. I was like, now I need to do that.
How did you get to know that person who helped you? I'm curious, because that's the empowering the R, because we've talked about this since April.
Since I was working on my taxes at the beginning of the year. Yes.
Yeah. So here it is almost a year later, and you've finally taken the step. So walk us through that process. I think it'd be really good to know how you got from Tom, who has a problem, because we acknowledged the problem months ago, to Tom yesterday taking action. What intervening stuff with the R came along?
What was real for me is I knew kind of what I was looking for in terms of a person. And we had a person join our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. And not just because they joined, but it was the way they joined and the messages they shared. They were coming in and wanting to add value. They came in and shared information that was not just to promote their business, although it clearly helped me understand what they did and what the difference really was between an accountant and a bookkeeper, and why that adds value and takes time from me. And so as I thought, and then I connected with them and we had a conversation, and they continued to add value, not only to, because I was on their feed now, I would see not only what they put in our Facebook group, but what they also shared in other groups. And to me, what they were sharing was value. I didn't have to hire them, and I could have gotten a lot of value from their content. And I decided that I needed to do this. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with someone who's speaking the language that I understand. And really, I think that they empowered me to make an action because of the messages they shared and how I felt they were coming across within as they were promoting themselves or their organization.
Right. Now, I know you and I had one or two discussions about this individual along the way, and we both said the same thing. Wow, they really are contributing a lot. This is really great. We love that. So notice, I think the takeaway for me, Tom, is that empowering the R, or empowering others to help us, is not a quick thing. It's not a quick fix. You're not going to do it at 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning, and at 9:15, your phone's going to ring 100 times. It's just not going to happen. It's a long game. It's putting yourself out there consistently, because this person you talked about is consistent in everything I've seen. There's never a deviation. Her mission is clear. What she's trying to do, her giving value is clear. And so you start to go, wow, if I had a question about this, this is the person I would ask. And I think that's part of this, is really to empower other people, is not to say, tell people about this. Tom, I really like to speak. Tell people I speak. It's not going to do any good. Tom could tell 100 people. 99.9 of them don't care.
Right.
They don't have opportunities. Right. So that's not doing me any good. But if I say, Tom, hey, I'm looking for organizations that are really struggling with this whole post-COVID world. I'd love to talk to them. And he goes, oh, wow, I just talked to a nonprofit that's really struggling with this. I should connect you. And the other thing about this empowerment issue is it's not like if I refer someone to you, it's a guarantee of business. And I think that's part of what I hear from people. It's like, well, I referred someone a couple weeks ago and they were like, so is this going to turn into money for me? And I was like, I don't have a clue.
Right.
That's not my job. My job is not to hand you a check. If I'm giving you a check, then I'm paying for it. But
right.
It's a broader thing. You've got to think more broadly about.
Well, I think one of the things about it is it's interesting, because when you said that about the long process, yes, I think it is the long process. I also think it can be you can shorten the process, because you're speaking directly to what, you are sharing something that is directly pertinent to what someone else is saying. Again, if let's take my software person, if their conversations were about, man, the words I hear are, my server keeps going down. Our staff is struggling to figure out like how we connect now that we're in this interconnected world. And do we use Teams? Do we use Zoom? Do we use, like, if that was the messaging that I saw, I would have been much clearer, and I was now empowered on who I could share with. But when I just hear about what they do, I'm like, well, I don't know who needs that, why they need it. And so sometimes when we speak to the language that someone is feeling, the time frame can be pretty quick. I mean, I have known this person that I hired to do my books for about a month and a half, which may not seem like it may not seem like a short amount of time, except online. It's a much shorter when you look at the amount of contacts. I've had a lot of other people that I've met over the years who do bookkeeping, and I haven't chosen to hire them. And so I think that's the piece of it, is that it might be a longer term, because sometimes you are speaking to people who how you help them isn't real for them right now, or isn't real enough that they have to act. And for others, because it is really real for them, really real. It is real for them. It might be quicker. They might be like, wow, they know exactly what I'm feeling. They know the words I'm speaking. I'm sure they can help me get over whatever hurdle, obstacle, challenge that's in front of me.
Speaking of hurdles, obstacles, and challenges in front of you, Tom, not you specifically, but you, anyone, we all struggle with those challenges. They come up all the time. A lot of us have gone through a lot of transformation in the last 6, 8, 9 months. I can't believe I said 9 months. It's hard to believe, but it was really closer to 10. We've gone through a lot. Some of us have been reacting. Some of us have been acting. And as we get ready for the new year, there's an opportunity here. And you and I have put together a workshop, a 4-day workshop right at the end of the year, where people can really work on their audience, their messaging, and what they're trying to accomplish. And as you look at 2021, and I think I saw last night on TV, there's this sense that people think that this year is going to just fade away on December 31st. And January 1st, we're going to wake up and it's going to be this new normal. It's going to be amazing. Rainbows and I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a lot that we've learned this year. I know for me, I've learned a whole lot personally and professionally that sets a way for me to create 2021 with that information in a new way, in a powerful way. And we want to help others have that feeling of power as they move into that new year. So, Tom, would you play that video for us as we close out today?
I will, except we didn't give people the one thing.
Oh, so, okay. I lost my script today.
Well, that's okay. Well, I'll forgive you this time. So what is your one thing, Bob, today about why it matters about empowering others?
I'm going to make it super simple today. What buckets do people put you in? Whether you choose the buckets or whether they're choosing the buckets, think about how people, based on the information you provided them and based on what they've observed, what bucket do they put you in? And I'll give you the example. Tom, you and I both know a guy that we've been to networking events, and all we know is he shows up, he eats the food, and then that's it. You know the guy, I know the guy, right?
Yep.
And that's the bucket he's in. I know what he does, but I would never refer him because the only place I've ever seen him is at the buffet, at the line where they have hors d'oeuvres. And he doesn't engage. He's never taken my card. He's never asked a question about anything I do. And so he's in that bucket. So as you think about these buckets, what bucket have you been placed in, or what bucket have you helped yourself be placed in for other people? And you can always ask.
Sure. Well, I think I would expand on that on just in terms of your buckets is it's not, and for me, it's not about what you do. It's what is the problem you solve that people, what are the words that people use? If you can, as you look out and get people who are helping you, or as you're trying to help them, make sure that they know your bucket is not just, I'm a nonprofit consultant. Okay. Or even the nonprofit guy is okay. And it's still not clear, because that might mean that, people send me if you want help with, board structures and some, I can do that. Absolutely. But I might not, my language that I'm sharing might not be speaking directly to the challenges that people are facing. And I think that's the thing, is the more your bucket can be, this is the person who helps this. So when they speak this language, I know exactly what I'm doing. We had a conversation the other day with Christy, who was talking, she's an interior designer. And so key is when she said, I had an offline conversation. When people are building a new house, that's language that says, hey, if they're looking for someone to help with their interior, I'm the right person. So that to me is very different than just interior design. So I think I like putting in buckets. I just want people to be really clear about the bucket you want to be in. And what does that message look like? And I would agree, it leads perfectly to what we're trying to do at the end of the year. We're going to share something else.
I was going to say, I think just thinking about the buckets, often when I work with people on this idea, you have to get the bucket from what you do for people first before you can change to the language. So if that's something someone's struggling with, we will be talking more about that in the remainder of the week this week. So that's not, if you don't know the right words, it's okay. I would just encourage people to just start with that idea of, what bucket do people put me in? And ask 3 people.
Right.
And find out, because it's fascinating to hear how people perceive what you're saying, because I'm amazed. Sometimes I say the same thing and someone hears it one way and another person hears it another way. And it's good to know which way.
Because it's what's real for them.
That's it.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We are going to move forward. We'll share a little bit of information about an event we're going to run that's going to help people figure out how to share that information and how to get yourself in the right bucket at the end of the month. Thanks for joining us today. If you are not a member of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we have conversation like this all the time, please join us. Just go to Facebook and search for Ring of Renegades. It's a private group, so ask to join. Tell us why you're a renegade, and we will let you come in and be part of the great conversations happening there. And we will be back here tomorrow morning like we are every morning except for Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern time for the next edition of Today's Antidote, where we help you find that one thing to help you move forward. Have a great day, everyone. We will either see you inside of the Facebook group or we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. Take care.
What's your next destination? 2020 was a challenging year for business owners, leaders, and nonprofits. Whether it was a boom, a bust, or pivoting to something new, on December 31st we will have reached a destination along our pathway. Now it is time to chart your next destination with new knowledge, experience, and perspective. Given all that has happened this year, are you clear on what is real for your audience? What to say, how to say it, and where to say it. No matter how your year went, being clear on these things is critical. Yet setting long-term goals during these times is challenging and confusing. Who can predict what things will look like in a year or 6 months? Charting our next destination provides focus, clarity, and direction. On December 28th to 31st, join our workshop where we will help you identify what your audience needs, how to speak to them, and where to find them. Can't make one day? Don't worry, it will all be recorded and available early afternoon each day. This interactive and collaborative effort will have you ready to take your next step. Register now and jumpstart your 2021. Chart your next destination and your unique pathway to success.